I'm a medical doctor, and I'm really blessed to be here. The talk that I give today is different from the talk I would have given yesterday because I had no idea what I was facing. I told my wife, Kelly, who is also our director, who has many years' experience in this industry, many more than me, that I was coming here to learn. And this room is a cauldron of knowledge, a cauldron of experience, of methods, and really unique ways to treat this disease. And everybody in here, I've been really just overwhelmed with the passion that I've seen in this room. And I needed this. I needed to see this passion in this industry because we all know there are lots of treatment centers out there that don't have this and don't provide what's needed. There's a book called Inside Rehab, some of you may be familiar with, written by a reporter from the New York Times that spent a lot of time reviewing lots of different treatment centers and basically told us everything that was wrong with this industry is what that book is my takeaway from that book. I didn't really have a good feeling coming away from that book. And I'm new in this industry. I'm essentially a baby. I know I have a lot of wrinkles, but I'm a baby compared to people in this room, and I'm here to soak up what's here. And I can tell you what we're doing now, a little bit of how I got here, a little bit of, as we say in the rooms, which I frequent, what happened, what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. What it was like in my early career, my whole career, I was a vascular surgeon. I worked in the U.S. Navy for many years. I can look back now and say that the reason that I did that, all of those things, was because I eventually took the drink that I needed sometime in second grade to fix my self-esteem, and tried lots of other things to fix that. I can't just, I've got to go to school. Well, I can't just go to school. I've got to be a doctor, and I can't just be a doctor. I've got to be a surgeon. And I got to be a vascular surgeon. I got to go to Stanford, and I got to be in charge of something. I did all that, and I'm sitting in a head of the division of vascular surgery in the world's largest Navy hospital, looking around, saying, "Okay, what's next?" And that's what this disease does. Give me another drink. About 4 years after that point, what was next for me was getting out of the Navy and making money, because that was, okay, I've achieved all this, it's not enough, I'm going to get out of the Navy and make some money. I did that, and about 4 years after that point, I'm sitting in a house by myself. My family lived across the country. They had moved out, house full of boxes. I'm still hiding vodka bottles from myself. I don't know why nobody ever came over. Old habits are hard to kill. And that's what my life came to in my world of vascular surgery. My practice was very successful. And in I was going to work. I was doing tons of cases. I was on the front of the curve, and that wasn't a problem. As soon as I walk out the door, though, I need a drink. What was that thing that needed fixing? Well, I availed myself to the. I knew nothing about recovery at the point. I called the state agency, PRN, and they said, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Because I guess that wasn't a usual thing to do, but I didn't know anything about recovery. I didn't know where to find an AA meeting. And so they signed me up and sent me to some outpatient treatment, and I started kind of going to some AA meetings and kind of running the show the way that I had run the show. That didn't work, so I ended up going to treatment, a place in Tampa, and came out a changed person 100 days later. Well, I left there, went back into practice. But I was truly a new person. I'd had that experience that everybody that we all treat needs, where we get to the place of humility and acceptance and establish a contact with, first of all, another person, so that we can open up, and then some kind of higher power. I define spirituality in my program as anything, starting off anyway, anything that's not this. And if I can get somebody to contact, just be aware that there's something in the universe besides this, then they've got a good head start. And I got to that place and I started practicing, and I started doing the right thing for the right reason each day, taking suggestions. And this practice came available and near a big hospital in a good location because somebody died suddenly, and I said, well, I want to take over that practice, so I took over that practice. It was a family practice. Right about that time, somebody that was a good friend of mine that actually told me about this conference, a guy named Paul Cassidy, who's worked in this industry many years, had just left Townsend Recovery, which he helped found, because they were moving. out of the city, and so he left them. And I said, you can put your desk over here. You know, I've got this new office until you figure out what you're going to do. Several months before that, I'd been working with a guy who worked in addiction, who asked me to get a Suboxone certification because he was going to do that. He did that. And I'm a vascular surgeon, and I didn't know anything about that. But this is the problem with Suboxone today is I didn't know anything about addiction except that I was in recovery, and I got a Suboxone certification in a matter of about 2 hours. I was an addiction doctor now. And we'll get to that in a minute, but
I have to buy another 10 minutes.
This is important because this is how I got here. I end up in this practice. It turns out the guy was running a pill mill. I've got an addictionologist sitting in the corner that's done it for several years. I've got a Suboxone license I never knew I was supposed to have. I never knew why I was supposed to get it. I never used it. The guy moved away as soon as I got it. Got a Suboxone license. I've got an office full of drug addicts. I've got an addictionologist. I'm in recovery and say, okay, God, thank you. So I started treating people with this disease. There was a lot of screaming matches because they weren't expecting that when they came to the office to someone to say, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to give you any more of that, but here's what I can do. And I started learning. I had a lot of tutoring from Paul Cassidy and I really found a passion for the treatment of this disease. And I found that passion by being able to establish a one-on-one personal contact with each person that came into the office. That's important to my recovery. That's important to that person's recovery too. That's how Bill Wilson did the very first AA meeting. Two people making contact. And I didn't want to make it a hobby. I started doing more and more of that, and so I jumped through the hoops and actually got board certified in addiction medicine. So I am an addiction doctor today. I learned all the things that I didn't know that I thought I knew before, and I learned all the things that all the other Suboxone doctors in my area were doing that they weren't supposed to be doing. I did use Suboxone. I do use Suboxone. I use other medications, but they're only crutches. They help people get to the place of real recovery. And many people need that in the same way they might need an antidepressant or anti-anxiety medicine or something to keep them from withdrawing for a little while until they can get real recovery. I started treating, that practice grew, and I got more and more. I had several hundred outpatients because there was a huge need in the area, and as soon as people found out, it was word of mouth. I didn't do any marketing for my addiction practice. The drug addicts all talk to each other, and when they find out they're really ready for real recovery, they come see me. Even all the Suboxone patients that were going to other places would come to see me because they wanted some real recovery. I had to make a decision of I was still doing vascular surgery, believe it or not. Vascular surgery and addiction medicine had absolutely nothing in common, but I was still doing both. I had to make a decision about 5 years ago. I stopped doing vascular surgery and started doing just addiction medicine because that was my passion. Did that for another 3 or 4 years, and then out of the blue, because of some contacts, some people I had talked to in the rooms, one guy specifically that I just took to breakfast a few times just because he was having a hard time, was kind of in and out. It turns out his dad was the biggest developer in the Panhandle of Florida. And this guy calls me up one day and says, I've got this building on the beach. Would you be interested in a treatment center? I've been renting some houses and trying to run some residential centers. I've been trying to head that direction, and I've been developing the staff, and this thing just sort of fell in my lap. This is how I got here. Everything's been given to me, and we all know that if we just stay open and accept what's placed in front of us, amazing things happen. I'll fast forward now, Kelly. We started a treatment center. It took over a couple of years to process and building places, putting staff in place. I didn't want to do this haphazardly. If someone comes to treatment, this is truly a fatal disease that we're treating. I firmly believe that, and it's more fatal than the number one killer, the number one cause of accidental deaths in this country last year by far is prescription drug overdose, which means the number one cause of accidental deaths in this country by far is doctors. That's where those drugs come from. What are we going to do about that? Well, doctors have to get involved in the treatment of this disease. There's a report put out by Cass at Columbia University last year talking about the wide gap between what the scientific evidence of treatment, what is evidence-based treatment versus what actually happens. We treat, in many places in this country, we treat this like we did TB in the 1920s, where there's 15,000 centers where we just lock them up and say, okay, you're there for X amount of time, you're going to get better or you're not going to get better. Well, that's, unfortunately, it's not the people in this room. This people in this room is what we need everywhere. Unfortunately, we all know that that's not what is everywhere. I have probably 5 different treatment centers within a couple, within 25 miles of where I am, none of them offer anything remotely approaching evidence-based treatment. And that's what, you know, every one of you are surrounded by treatment centers, I'm sure, that do the same thing. And that's one of the things that we're struggling against. One of the reasons I want to meet everybody here and just learn and to grow. And I'm in a situation today where I have a treatment center that's on the beach. It's a beautiful place. It's a spiritual place, directly on the Gulf of Mexico. That's where we live. I have certified counselors. I use evidence-based practices. I use medications where indicated. My goal is the lowest amount of medicine and no medicines eventually. I use Suboxone to detox people. I use Vivitrol. My goal is to get people, what I like to do is get people onto Suboxone to detox, get them off the Suboxone, get them onto Vivitrol. And then provide aftercare. You know, this is a chronic disease. You know, how many diabetics would go in the hospital and get treated from a diabetic coma and then get sent home with no follow-up? That's what happens with this disease every day. I've established an addiction medicine practice at a local hospital, Sacred Heart Hospital, which is part of Ascension Healthcare, which is the largest Catholic hospital service provider in the country. And I'm out of, you know, I don't know, 160 Catholic hospitals, I'm the first addiction medicine service. And I see that growing because the need's going to grow. They came to me and asked me to do that because their hospital is inundated with drug addicts. I don't mean in the emergency room, that's what we all hear about. I mean people coming in to get their heart surgery or get their hernia fixed or get their gallbladder out and then go into withdrawal. They don't know how to handle that, and they're inundated with that. And that's all over the country. And that's what we're treating. But the hospital also provides me a place. I have you know, if I have a sick, with my background of vascular surgery, I'm not afraid of sick people. You know, I detox people. If they need to go in the hospital, they go in the hospital. There's a CPT code for medication reaction that actually works, and you can admit somebody into that. And I treat a lot of chronic pain. In my background in vascular surgery, I'm well versed in chronic pain treatment. Suboxone is amazing medicine for chronic pain in a non-addict or in a very monitored addict. I treat mind, body, and spirit is my philosophy, and our programs are structured for that. Mind, everybody, a lot of people in this room, the therapy is very important. Everybody has some kind of trauma, whether it's perceived or real. Most of the time it's real, and that needs to be dealt with. This disease is trying to fix something. If they don't find some way to fix something, if they don't find some way to get this out of the way, it'll never work. It'll never work long term. The body, you know, that's the medical side of things, and treating the ravages that people have put on their body, using the medicines as crutches to get to the place where they can recover. Spirit, we have a very strong local recovery community. I think it's, you can talk about different ways of, you know, 12-step versus non-12-step, but, you know, 12-step works. I'm an evidence-based person. You know, I started in my vascular surgery practice. I take things from the basic science research and use it at the bedside when evidence shows that it works. 12-step program works. You can use other methods. This is a fatal disease. I want to use a method that has been proven to help millions over many years. I like that track record. 12 steps are just you know, I tell my patients all the time, the purpose of the 12 steps is to get this out of the way, get conscious contact with something besides this, whatever that becomes for you. If you can do that, you're going to survive and you're going to win. And that's what I teach my patients. You can call it 12 steps, they can call it whatever else you want to call it. You know, we're very flexible. I hear individualized treatment. You know, everybody has some kind of individualized treatment. We're small, I want to stay small. We have maxes of 19 beds. And we can really, you know, if someone needs equine therapy, we do that. If someone needs massage therapy, we do that. If someone needs cognitive testing, we do that. If someone needs some art therapy, someone needs to go to school, we got somebody in school right now that's in our facility. You know, we're small enough, and my purpose is to stay small enough in my own individual treatment center to offer real individualized therapy. Bringing people for 90 days at least. They need to be longer. Sometimes it's hard to get, I was talking to John last night, sometimes, and some of you in here, it's hard to get people to stay that long, and I'm learning how to do that, how to incorporate the leverage. I'm a graduate of the PRN program, the Physicians Health program. It works. There's no program in the country. You know, we can talk about cognitive therapy and dialectic therapy and behavioral therapy and, you know, treating trauma. We put all these big fancy names on things. Accountability and aftercare and monitoring. 90% success rates in some states with the Physician Health program. I try to incorporate that. I try to get the leverage. I try to incorporate monitoring in our program after they go home. I have relapse prevention groups in my house that are available for life. I mean, in my office that are available for lifetime. And we maintain contact when they go home. And that's a lot of information, but that's what I have. That's what I am. That's what I do. And I'm here to learn and grow. And I hope to be back next meeting and not be the new guy. I'll tell you what I've learned here and put into action. Destin, Florida, we are, you know where Destin Commons?
Yeah.
Yes.
My offices are at Destin Commons, where we do treatment groups. Straight down the street, maybe 2 blocks at the ocean is where our residences are. It's a group of 5 condos, 2-bedroom condos, 2 people in each condo. And, you know, we stay spread out.
What are you looking at 90 days on?
Our published rates are $20,000 per month. We steeply discount that many times just to get people into treatment. We are out of network for insurance. You know, I've worked at a facility. I was medical director at a large facility with 100 patients and that accepted insurance and even TRICARE, and you know they tie one arm behind your back. You can't get your treatment. I'm on the phone all day, every day, trying to beg 2 more days for somebody for 6 more months.
Yeah,
Do you take them out of treatment, like if they finish their length of stay of 30, 60 to 90 days at another facility, can they come to your facility after?
They can. I'm actually working at dinner the other night with Dr. Gray from Nashville.
Roland Gray.
Roland Gray from Physicians Program in Nashville. And we're talking about some of those patients coming to our facility, some of his patients, the professionals, doing at least 60 days there and then coming to our facility afterwards. So we're working on that kind of thing. We're in a nice place. We incorporate what's around us. It's a big tourist area. And it's important to me. You know, the first time I got out of treatment and I went to the beach, it's like I'd never been to the beach in 20 years without a beer in my hand. It's important to do that with patients. We do that every day. We have activities. They go to the beach. They go to Harbor Walk. They do things.
Take them to Buster's Bar.
They go to Buster's. They go to Camel Club. You know, they go to 2 meetings a day. They get sponsors. We get them through the steps within 30 days and then start again. There's a great book by Floyd Henderson that describes how the original founders of AA went through the steps and that those first 100, and we do that, and it takes 2 weeks.
Isn't that where you and I went?
Yeah.
Birmingham that day?
Buster's.
World famous Buster's.
Yeah, he's the real deal. We talked to him last night, and it's about recovery. It's not about pills and Suboxone and all that. It's really the real deal. And I love it when my medical director's in recovery. I know some other facilities here, and they're people that are medical officers in recovery. There's nothing like you guys. I just take my hat off to you. That you know what you're talking about. You got a question?
Yeah, what are the hours of admission? Is it Monday through Friday, 9 to 4?
24/7.
What's that?
If we're arranging an elective admission, we like to do it, you know, Monday through Friday during work, you know, 8 to 5. But 24/7, our staff, we have 24/7 staff. The house, we have resident managers that are trained in doing the admission paperwork. I'm available 24/7.
Is detox extra?
No, it's not extra. Sometimes we have people who want to do only detox. Of course, we get them in and work them out
At your facility?
At our facility. I'm not. I had about 5 years of detoxing patients as outpatient experience before I started this facility. I can detox a patient as an outpatient. I don't do that. They're monitored and they have their blood pressures, people taking vitals, but it's not a state certified detox unit. If somebody's that sick, I take them to the hospital, but that's rare.
How far is that?
3 miles.
Other questions?
Thank you.